Well, hello and welcome everybody to this session of 3D+U. We are so excited to see you. We're so excited to be back. If you missed us, who's here for the first time? Oh, well, hello. Well, hi, Rachel. Welcome. Well, you're in a real treat. In for a real treat. My name is Gigi Fusco-Mies. I'm the Director of Community and Donor Relations for 3D Theatricals, and we're the resident musical theater company for the beautiful Cerrito Center for the Performing Arts. And one day we'll open and we will perform again. But in the meantime, we're so thrilled that we could gather in this way and learn something new and have some fun. And I cannot even express to you in words how much I adore this woman who will be instructing you. Look at her. Oh, don't blush. She's faking it. Okay. I want to present to you Natalie Iscovich, and she's going to take you through this session today of movement. I'm so excited for you all. Have fun.
All right. Hi, I'm Natalie. So for this class, you just need a tiny bit of space and then just the openness to want to move a little bit. We're not going to be doing anything traditionally based in dance technique. So no need to get that batma going, like we can just relax. And we're just gonna kind of move and tap into our sensations and that storytelling and that emotional depth that kind of already exists within us. So we're doing kind of an improv-based guided work. And then after that, we'll do some exploration with how you can actually use that to create choreography or movement for characters. As you're creating songs or working on songs and creating pieces, or if you're a director, you're interested in directing, all of that kind of stuff, just a way for you to tap into something a little bit with a different avenue. So we're going to start by just finding a little bit of space. Good. And again, if you want to be seated for this, it really is totally up to you. The main goal is that you're using your mind to help your body out. So you'll start by just shifting the weight, and you can use me as a guide if you ever feel lost. And if you want to turn away from the camera anytime, please feel free to do that as well, so that you're not always looking at me or looking at me, maybe listening to that inner voice, that inner creative person. So we're just shifting. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and an exhale. Good, and another inhale, keep your shift going. And an exhale. Good, notice your breathing as you move through the class and keep a little shift going in your feet as you start to really open your eyes and observe the space that you're in. I think I've danced now in almost every space in my home. Maybe you too. But wherever you are, see if you can notice something different about the space. If you can notice a detail, a crack, a different paint color, different shades of white or shades of blue or green. Maybe a detail in a piece of art on the wall that you didn't see before. And then don't forget about the ground. Maybe find that lost piece of popcorn if you're in the kitchen, you watched a movie last night. Spot that crumb. Remind yourself to get it later. Good, and now that you've acquainted yourself with this space, start to move this little rock, if you haven't already, to a little bit of a groove. And if you're starting to feel maybe like uncomfortable with the idea of grooving, know that this is a safe space. Know that you're alone. And imagine just connecting to this nice, easy music, the sound of my voice, and the sounds around you in the space. Good, feeling like there's an ocean inside your body. The waves are just subtle right now. Like an easy day. Good. And it doesn't have to look like anything specific. It just has to feel, let's say, gooey, relaxed, inviting. So you'll maybe start to feel yourself getting a little warm, and that's good. just by shifting. Good, really nice. And now imagine your arms are on top of that water, so they float a little bit. So you can really feel the water around you, like you're kind of paddling through a pool. And the main goal is to just keep your feet kind of constantly shifting, constantly moving, so we don't lose the energy from the ground up. Arms feel light. Can you see how your fingers ripple on the water? Good. Keep it going even as the song shifts. Can you keep that melody, that idea in your head? Good. And then maybe you're already shifting towards that, but maybe your chest starts to get taken a little bit by the waves. So you can imagine splashing on the rib cage, splashing on the chest, even on the back of your body. Don't forget about the back space of your body. I think in theater, we're often so frontal. So really feel like the waves are coming at the back of the waist, into the ribs. Good, and then we'll just take that nice big inhale. And we're all in theater, so feel free to let a nice big sound out. Good. And sometimes I do things and I'll kind of laugh or feel silly, kind of feel uncomfortable with my own expression, and I think that's okay. But the more that we lean into that, the more we start to have the ability to go deeper, to show more of the human experience, to dive in. Good, so now maybe you feel like a jellyfish. Really gooey, really open. Feeling yourself shift and flow. Good, and I see people shut their cameras off. Good, just feel alone, yeah? Really feel alone. And even if you're decided to walk away, that's okay too. We're just in opportunity to move. Good. Good, and then because we've now gotten into this jellyfish, this little float that feels really yummy, we're gonna finish this thought by taking our hands, placing them on our chest, and imagining getting really soft in the center of our heart. Normally we'll keep our eyes open for this practice, but just close your eyes for a second. Bring your feet together. Keep the weight coming up from the ground, sort of like you are growing with a little flower. And just hands on the chest. Notice if you feel heavy, if you feel stuck. I get really emotional when I place my hands on my chest. Maybe that's you too. Good, and then I want you to imagine like dough that you can press your fingers into. Can your chest get soft like dough? You can let your shoulders fall forward. So you're really feeling a doughy sternum. Good. Why do you love to tell stories? Why do you love to sing, to dance, to act? Tap into that. It's not always easy to find right now. So just take a second, that deep breath in, that big breath out. Really, really nice. Release the hands from the chest, but don't lose that softness. Take a second and just move however you want to move in this idea of softness, of a seaweed spine, of yourself in a lake, in a river, in an ocean. Peaceful, relaxed, no choreography to learn, no specific notes to hit, just you and your body, you and all of your experiences and movement. Good. And if you are a dancer and you want to bring in a little bit of tendus or plies, play with being floaty in those familiar forms. Good, and then we're gonna leave the float, just bring a little bit of a shake to all the body parts. The legs, the hands, things very distal. Right, so proximal, meaning the center of the body, distal, meaning your fingers, your toes, the further away from the center. Get goofy, get silly, shake, and then notice, maybe this shake actually causes you to laugh a little bit. So that we're not generating false humor, but we're tickling ourselves from the outside in or the inside out. And it causes a sense of joy, a sense of humor, right? So we can create this on stage by invoking our body to help us. We don't have to do it alone, just from our brain. So really feel tickled, and maybe you're starting to feel tired. Good. Get tired. Lean into your sense of being exhausted. We're all exhausted. Yeah, our bodies are tired. Our minds are tired. Shake off. Shake something off. Get rid of the anxiety. Get rid of the last 4 hours maybe that you spent on social media. Let it go. Get rid of that Instagram post that made you mad. That Facebook thread you shouldn't have read. Let it all go. Shake it off. Get rid of it. And we're going to count down, and I encourage you to use your voice as you shake, counting down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7. Can you shake a little bit more? 5, 4. You're really crazy now. 3, 2, and 1. Start to float. Feel a sense of ease. Find that breath. Notice your heartbeat. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Take your feet a little bit wide. Reach your arms up to the sky and just stretch your spine. Fingertips are reaching up. Feet are grounding down. Nice and easy. We're just gonna plie or bend the knees. Reach over to the left. And then inhale. Use your abs. Come back up to center. Exhale. Go over to the right. Inhale. Come up. Good. See if you can stretch any more. If you need help, you can always grab the wrists. Really feel the side body stretch. Good. And then bend over to the right. Come up. And bend over to the left. We want to feel that side body stretching. Good. Inhale. Reach the fingertips up as high as you can. Even higher than you think. Push past the limits that you understood before. Breathe in. Good. Exhale safely. Roll down. If you have some space, take your hands to the ground. Bend your knees. Relax over. Good. Relax here. Stretch. Good. Feel yourself bending into your knee. Release your head, your jaw. Don't think about what this stretch could create. Instead, I want you to tie into how you feel emotionally. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel a sense of sadness? A sense of wanting? Maybe the music is informing you emotionally too. Slowly start to roll back up the spine. No rush, no need for perfection. Good, one more time. Reach the arms up, stretch long. Fingertips are reaching, reaching, reaching. And one more time, this time when you collapse how you feel emotionally. It doesn't have to be sad, it can be joyful. Hands come down to the earth. Chest relaxed. Don't forget about that soft heart. And slowly roll yourself back up. Again, cue into emotion. Maybe you're a swamp monster coming up from the lagoon, right? Doesn't always have to make sense. And then fall into some really groovy movement. Yeah, it can be whatever. It can be like you're partying in your room. Even if the song isn't informing you exactly of that, you can feel free to floss. You Yeah, whatever sort of comes up for you that feels like it's a party. And you'll notice if you're feeling open, that this party kind of just naturally brings a smile to your face. And then we think, okay, well, if I can bring these emotions up so quickly, well, how will that assist me in an audition? And pretty well, right? You feel goofy, silly, like you're going to that party. Good. And then let this party sort of trickle down to your hands so you feel really like you're kneading dough, twisting and curling the hands. And just a last idea here with our hands, I want you to look at your hands, really open up your eyes and really see your hands. Good. And then now I want you to see your hands and imagine they're someone else's. How is that going to change the way that you feel about your hands? Yeah. The way that you think the hands are acting if they aren't being controlled by you. Good, and then I want you to imagine that these hands are now someone you love. And let those hands kind of touch on your body. So someone who loves you, these are their hands. And they're touching on different parts of your body that feel safe and good to you. And in this imagery, maybe they feel warm. Think of all the places they can go. Your cheek, the back of your head, and then how does that body part react to the touch? There's no wrong answer. It's a private experience, so go ahead and feel private about it. And then take these hands and lightly start to tap your flesh. Just sort of hitting kindly. Think of places maybe that don't get a lot of attention, like armpits and the back. Even your butt, if you're comfortable, just give it a little tap, say you love it. Down the legs, up the shins, on the heart, even a little bit on the face if it feels comfortable. And just kind of do that all over the body. And we're going to count down from 10, hitting the body here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then just go back to that flow that we started with. Notice the tingling sensation on the body. The awakeness. Good. And then just take this next song to sort of just explore how you're feeling. Again, if you want to, you can sort of bring on a balletic fantasy or a ballerina fantasy if you know some shapes. But keeping it floaty, right? Keeping it organic, lovely, safe. And if you don't want to be a ballerina, you can even just be a ballerina in your torso. A sense of giving, a sense of longing. Just take a moment and move. Your eyes can be closed or open. I think open if you want to observe the space again as we close out. Really see where you are. See if you can draw some lines in space. I have a keyboard in my room, so I draw the keyboard. I have a couch, so I draw the couch. I have all these nice angles I've painted, so I can feel the angles, the squares of these photos. Everything seems possible. Take a moment in silence with just the music to move. Take that deep breath in. That big breath out. Slowly, there's no rush. Start to just find yourself coming back to stillness. It can be really, really slow. And when you think you found a stillness, just hold there. And I want you to notice how maybe alive this stillness feels. How we can really feel a sense of performing, a sense of openness, so that whoever our scene partner is, whoever our audience is, we're always kind of ready for movement, and we're always kind of ready to be emotional, to give. Yeah, we're not asking, we're not proving, but we're just saying, I'm ready. Deep breath in. Big breath out. Really, really nice. Good. And we'll leave that thought and we'll move on to a different thought. But hopefully, if you hadn't done that before, what I'm kind of basing that work on is something called Gaga, not Lady Gaga. But Ohad Naharin is an Israeli choreographer. He has a very famous company called Batsheva. And in this company, he uses this form called Gaga as a sensation-based improv. And I'm not certified in Gaga. I'm just a lover of the concepts of Gaga. So this is an amalgamation of just some of the improvisational concepts and the Gaga things and the musical theater person in me kind of bringing together into this concept. And I think what this does is it awakens a sensation in us to feel like we're able to move and able to tell a story without being inauthentic, right? Right now, maybe you feel like open and authentic and available. And that's what I really love about the work. And I actually use this before auditions because I think it's just really a way to have people think you look crazy, which is always great because they'll leave you alone. And then also a way to tune into yourself and not worry about what other people think. It's like a good challenge in that. So I hope you got something out of it and feel like you might be ready to explore your creative mind a little bit more open. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna show you like some very basic movements and concepts. And then we're gonna play with those concepts within different pieces of music to kind of explore how dynamics can affect our storytelling while we're moving and how our tension in our body can really change the way that someone perceives us. So we're gonna stand up again because it is like a movement class. And if your video is off, again, totally fine. I hope you're still there. I love you, wherever you are, whatever you feel like you need. So how we're gonna start this piece is you're gonna face whatever corner that you kind of wanna face. And then on the first count, I'm not gonna give you dynamics yet. I'm just gonna say the body parts that move. Your arm is just gonna come up and you're gonna bend at the elbow. Really easy. So whatever arm you want, really doesn't matter. It can be right arm, left arm, whatever feels good to you. So that arm's gonna come up. Good. You're gonna turn the palm to your face and really see it. Yeah? So again, arm comes up, you turn the palm to the face. Good, and then like there's a magnet between your palm and the top of your forehead or the center of your forehead. You're just going to bring those two things together. Yeah, so I have an open palm on my forehead. So again, not adding dynamics in as much as possible. It's very hard to do, right? You're just gonna bring your arm up, turn your palm towards you, and then drop. Oopsie, I used a dynamic word. You're just gonna bring your forehead and your palm together. Good. Once you make this connection, all that's gonna happen is you're going to release that connection, and as you release that connection, you're gonna gaze up as the hand comes down next to you again. So as you release that connection, and let's put a little bend in the knees, you're just gonna let that arm come back down. Good. So arm comes up, palm turns. You bring the two things together. You release and look up. Good. And then you're going to step out on whichever foot, right or left, and point out to the diagonal that you're opposing. Yeah. So just a point. So arm up, palm touch, release, and then just point to a diagonal. Yeah. So you're reaching out. Doesn't really matter, again, which foot. Then from this point, you're going to walk 4 steps around yourself away from the point, but keeping your eyes on the place you pointed. 1, 2, as much as you can, right? Your head's going to have to go eventually. 3, and then on that 4th step, you're going to point back to the diagonal. Yeah. So again, you step out, you point to the diagonal, you walk around for 1, try to keep your eyes, 2, 3, 4. You're going to collect everything back together to the start of where we were before. Good. So we'll just start with that short phrase and we'll play with that for a little bit. So again, the hand comes up, the palm turns towards you. You connect, you release, excuse me, I burped, gross, excuse me. And then you step out and you point, and then you walk around, leaving your gaze. 1, 2, maybe it has to change on the 3, probably. 3, 4, and then you collect everything back together. 5, 6, 7, and let's wait till the end, till everything is collected, till the foot is collected, to move the gaze back. Yeah, so I added a little detail there. So you point, you walk around in 4, 3, 4, you let everything collect. Let's say it goes arm down, foot in, and then at the very last second, your head. Cool. So in the exploration of dynamics, let's talk about dynamics. So I think sometimes when I'm running auditions and I see people, the thing that really gets lost is in the desire to get everything done, all of the difficult choreography, especially for someone who is more on the mover side, right? Even dancers, though, are very much guilty of it. So we tend to not always think about what's really being asked from us in the room in terms of story. So, for example, if this was taught to me and I just thought about it the way I just taught it, but it was like battements and dégagés and leaps and all that stuff, then I would feel a little dead inside. And if my technique wasn't maybe the perceived idea of what is good technique, very important there, just perceived, right? Then I wouldn't have been successful. But our goal is to create successful experiences for us as actors, first and foremost in theater, I think, right? We really have to know where it comes from in an acting vein. So working with this phrase, we're really going to explore those dynamics. So we're going to add dynamics to this piece of movement and then put it to a piece of music and then add different dynamics, put it to a piece of music, and then add different dynamics and put it to a piece of music, and just see how these simple movements can change rather quickly in terms of storytelling. So for this first story, I want it to feel like you are at a club and you were really in love with someone, but you think that it's probably better that they be with someone else. It has nothing to do with the fact that you dislike them in any ways. It's just that you think you could love someone else a little bit differently. So we're going to do the movement with that in mind. So for me personally, if that was the story, I might think that if I was at a club, maybe I'm like dancing before, and maybe this is kind of part of the dance, and suddenly my arm comes up and it like surprises me. And then as I turn the palm towards my head, I really see the person I love maybe in my palm. And then I kind of have a headache about it, right? Because I need to break up with. So this might be as like a little bit of headache. Like, oh boy, like how am I going to do this? And then as this releases, it might be like an admittance that like, okay, yeah, I have to do it today. So it kind of releases and it let go. And then this point is maybe you see them across the bar and then you're going to walk around like, okay, this is the moment. I'm going to tell them. And then suddenly they're gone maybe this time. And then you lose the courage to say anything. Yeah, so there, we just had random movements and we put a little story to them. Yeah, so let's just talk through it again and then we'll do it with some music. So we're at a bar, we're dancing, we're having a great time. Maybe we're like smiling even. And then suddenly you remember that you need to break up with this person and you're like, and then your hand turns towards you, you really see that you love them. Such a headache. So again, like before when it was just bringing it to, what's the difference between bringing it to and it's such a headache? Movement is exactly the same, but the dynamic changes. So such a headache, and then this releases, you gotta tell them. You hear them, maybe they call your name, maybe you see them, you point, and then you're like, all right, this is you building up the courage. I'm gonna tell them, I'm gonna tell them. And then they're gone. So then you just sort of like lose the courage and you're like, all right. And then maybe at the end of this, we can just kind of like go back to some awkward dancing, just for fun, yeah? Just so it's not so crazy serious. So let's try, exactly, I love that. So let's try a song here and see how it feels for us with that story in mind. Music kind of gave it to you too lyrically, right? It's like leaving with somebody else, gonna go, gonna go. So I think in that storytelling, right, that's like right there for us. Now, what if we make it more dramatic? Because we love some drama, and we do like a song like this for the same concept. So now we're like in lyrical land, right? Like before we were in rock land, but the story hasn't changed. So maybe we're not in a bar anymore. Maybe we're like in the wind and we can really picture ourselves in someplace very beautiful and like majestic. So then whenever we feel ready, we can sort of start moving. So our arm will come up. We see it, drop into it, release it. And then point. You can walk away from it. Maybe you're building up that courage, but maybe the walk's a little different, a little slower. Point. Release it. Baby, hallelujah, it's a cry for the realm. Baby, hallelujah, it's a cry for the realm. Cool. So it's a cry for the realm. It's crazy how quickly that emotionality can change with the song, right? It's like immediately when it goes on, even though the movement is exactly the same, it can feel so different. So let's try that one more time with that same sort of storyline, and then we'll change the storyline into some different songs. Actually, maybe even change the choreography, change something different. Oh, let's do, This is still kind of lyrical. Let's pretend like my whole playlist isn't lyrical all the time. It is though, because I love lyrical. Oh, let's try this. A little jazzier. So first, like if I was at an audition and the person turned on the music, I would just kind of get the music in my body a little bit and I would feel the vibe. And especially as singers, as performers, really listen to the way that the singer is singing the song. Good, and then just for a second, for this song, I hear all these different musical things, right? So you feel like a little, you get that little cymbal or that little drum. And then there's stop, right? So there's so much to play with in this piece. So just as a creative person, start to sort of feel out those kind of steps. And I'm not really watching you, so really this is really for you. This is kind of how I choreograph, so you can sort of feel that. So when this arm comes up, I want you to feel this vibe, like you're in like a jazz club in like the 40s or something, right? So every piece of music kind of tells us. So we'll start in a second, just feeling the vibe. Here we go, 6, 7, 8, arm comes up, look, head, release, and point. Courage, 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 point. And release. Good. And then I sort of inadvertently did some fun stuff there that just happens naturally, right? So if we hear music, sometimes our body kind of reacts like it should, right? We turn into beveling and like, we do all these things that like, where did that come from? But there's a basic understanding that like, that's how you move to that piece of music. Gotta put that bevel in. Should probably grab a pair of heels. Like if a teacher turns this on, you might walk over and grab your heels, right? So that you feel a sense of womanality or a sense of curviness, yeah? So that's always kind of fun when that surprises me. All right, let's add on to the phrase. So we just came back, we're here. And then I feel like I want the rug to get pulled out from under us. So our feet are just gonna like échapper out and our hands are gonna sort of go like with the feet. So échapper out, you drop. Yeah, so that'd very much be like, look at me, I'm the king of New York, right? That's like where that pose exists or that movement sometimes exists, but we're gonna try to exist it in different places. So, but for now, let's kind of have that dropping feeling. Yeah, so drop. And then I kind of want to go around in a circle as my fingers like guide my hips. So I'm going to push my hips back with my fingers, push, and I'm going to take this long circle all the way back to center until my fingers are facing forward. Good. Yeah, and hip mobility is really fun. So just take your hands to your hips, take some circles in there. And again, I think you kind of have to feel stupid sometimes when you're dancing in order to really let yourself explore. So allow yourself to feel like an idiot, shake your hips, let your hips go, and try to make it not built in any sort of sensuality. Kind of hard, right? But as women, we're trying to really escape always having to be sensual. So just imagine that the hips going around is like you're a robot, and the hips don't always have to have a sensual impulse. So great, so we pointed, we came back, we looked. We're gonna échapper out. And then the fingers are gonna push the hips back. You can pick whatever direction, just make sure that the fingers initiate the hips, and then you take that circle around all the way back to center. And let's say the fingers end up pointing up. And then let's go step in with one foot at a time as you sort of boogie. So you're gonna go boogie, 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 boogie. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to make into a lyrical move. Just wait, it's gonna be good. So we're here and we're gonna boogie, 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 boogie. Great. So our hand came up, we turned into it, we fell into it, we released, we pointed, we walked around, we pointed, we came back to center, we échappaed, we curled the hips around, we point up, and then we boogie, 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 boogie. Yeah, not hard, right? Definitely like a mover's call, maybe. So let's come up with a story. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna go, In the Heights came into my head. So we're gonna go with like Nina, okay? So Nina just got home from school, she quit, and she's gotta tell everyone that she quit. And we're gonna use these movements to work up the courage to tell everyone that we quit school, or to feel a sense of shame that we are not enough and that we have let everyone that we loved down. Happy Monday. Okay, so what we're gonna do is rethink this. So just take a second, and I won't be as clear, but with that mind, I want you now as the actor to take ownership and sort of, we'll walk through the steps and see what those things could mean. So we bring the hand up, we look at the palm, connects. really have this story playing, whatever it means to you, whatever it could mean, whatever it should mean. And then we collect back together. The new part, the rug gets pulled out from under us. Hips move around. And then we boogie in. Good luck with the boogie. That one's a hard one to figure out in terms of not feeling like enough. But just to give you a little help with that, I might decide that this is me gathering up the strength. So I might like gather emotionally up my body just so that I feel like it's still a boogie, but it's just an emotional boogie. So I won't put Breathe on just yet, but I might put it on just for fun. But let's play with some different songs that might have a different might give us some more time to explore what we think without the lyrics that are so specific. Let's see. I really love this song right now. Really into it.
Why did they lie? They said to survive I had to walk along the line. But I don't feel alive.
I'm gonna coin that. My next release, my biggest hit is gonna be Emotional Boogie. Emotional Boogie, I love it.
What kind of living
so then you can just start whenever. This one kind of has that same sort of emotionality too. So you can just feel it out.
I wanna roll with the misfits, meander in the mist, give in to the bliss, grab life by her wrist, lean in for a kiss and say I want this. Oh, I need this. I wanna live like I mean it. I'm gonna do
That one gave us that, I wanna live like I mean it. It really like gave it right there for us. I wanna play with that one again because that moment was really crystal clear for us in there. So let's explore that again.
Live like I mean it. Why did they lie? They said to survive I had to walk along the line. But I don't feel alive. Does that mean I've survived?
And it really can be however you want to interpret it right now. We're going to get more detailed in a little bit. Here we go.
I don't want to simply exist. I want to punch with my fist. I want to roll with the misfits, meander in the mist, give in to the bliss, grab life by her wrist, lean in for a kiss and say I want this.
Yeah. I love a lot of that imagery in that song. So when I'm choreographing or when I'm in an audition, I love to pick up on lyrics. So like specifically in that song, grab life by the wrist, right? So if someone like, say you're in an audition, okay, and someone did something like this, right on that lyric, you have a choice as a dancer, as an artist. You can just do this, and then whatever crazy like tilt, bop, ma thing would happen after. Or you can really decide, grab life by the wrist, right? And there can be a sense of like why or pulling or wanting that was probably in the original choreography, but maybe the choreographer didn't have a chance to say it. So this is where we take ownership as an artist and we learn how to storytell through our movement, right? That you have all those options in there to create something, yeah? So just think that through. Sorry, my mom's calling. So just think that through, and let's try this with like a little bit of a sexy song, and then we'll do Breathe, just because it came out of my mind. We'll see how it fits. So let's do a little sexy song so those hips can feel a little sexy, maybe. Let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Let's do. All right, whatever Lola wants, right? Here we go. It's gonna really change it.
but don't think the story is different. So don't get confused. Just stay clear to the story. You're not enough. You have to tell someone that you're quitting school, even with what Lola wants on. Yeah? I know, it's confusing. Go for it. Here we go. I would start like right after this. Here we go.
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. No use to fight. Don't you know you can't win? You're no exception.
Yeah,
to
good.
the rule. I'm irresistible.
I think I failed my own task. I definitely got super into being Lola. So sometimes it doesn't always work out. Let's try breathe. Let's try breathe just to see if what I was inspired by even exists in this world. Let's try breathe. Okay, you gave me a lot of choices that aren't Lin-Manuel Miranda. And now it's just Hamilton. Okay, one step at a time. Okay, oh, here it is. We found Just Breathe, which worked out really well. And then we turned around and we said, this is my street. I smile at the neighbors I've known all my life. They regard me with pride. That worked, right? Like, those moments are always so good. So let's do that section one more time and really now become Nina, right? Besides ethnicities, right? We would never necessarily play Nina, but we're gonna just explore Nina's storyline and feel kind of what she's saying, even those first 3 lines. That worked out, right? I think actually it was this, they regard me with pride, that I really liked. And so this is genuinely kind of how I choreograph. If I'm choreographing, especially for movers, or actually for dancers too, I think that language is a little old school. I think we categorize ourselves, I've kind of been thinking about this, but we categorize ourselves, and by categorizing ourselves, we close ourselves off. You know, we say, I'm not a ballet dancer, so like I don't go to ballet. Or like, I'm not a singer, so I can't sing at all. Right? There's no like middle ground, or like I'm not a soprano, so I don't have any worth. Right? Or like whatever it is that you've categorized yourself in, I think it really holds you back. Even if that category is I'm a singer or mover plus. And I think for dancers, there's these 2 different identities. There's this technical dancer, right? This thing that we should maybe aspire to sort of get good at, only because it gives us more skills in order to be more successful in our storytelling. Really, like I think technique is just, if you're looking at theater specifically, or any dance, the less worried you are about what your body is doing, the more worried you can be about what your story is. And that's why I think technique class is great. But I don't think it's the end all be all of what dance is. Far before there was codified dance technique, and especially codified theater dance technique, where suddenly we all have like top hats and canes, and like, why do we have top hats and canes? But if you see something like Hadestown, right, the movement really comes from this guttural place, and like, what's more guttural than hell, right? There's all these like imageries that kind of come up, and when you see people exploring dance through more pedestrian sort of avenues. So I think it's kind of a new future for us to give ourselves the opportunity to not categorize ourselves so strictly in being like a dancer, a mover, a spirited mover. I have, 4 years of ballet and 3, like that defines us, but we're so much more than that as artists. And I really want to encourage a space that feels, like Jagged Little Pill, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or like American Idiot, where the dance is really driven by that desire to, there's so many amazing cases where, there are 2 people in this class who showed up halfway through who know that I am a technique nut. Like, I love technique. But I truly think that it has kept people separated or feeling distance from dance. Like, they can't explore everything that dance has to offer because they don't have the technique skill, and maybe they didn't even have the money to get the technique skill. Dance classes aren't cheap. And if you're gonna maybe be more passionate about singing, that's fine. That's where your money's gonna go. So I think my goal really in things like this is to offer you the opportunity to realize that your dancing is already inside of you, or like the desire to move is already inside of you. So you don't need to go out extrinsically and look for something to put on you. Yeah, your movement is already in your body. So with music, I think when I listen to songs, that's how I listen to music. And that's how I think kind of this idea of storytelling through movement is that when we listen to music and we're at an audition, how quickly, or even in a rehearsal process, let's say we got the job. Let's forget about the audition. Let's say we're in the room, we got the job, and your choreographer, your director says, walk across the stage like you know that you're about to break up with this person, right? Well, we can put that in our body. But if we're so nervous about what our body is doing, if we don't have that freedom in our body, then that moment is just going to read as all of those things. But the more comfortable we are with looking silly or exploring our body in different shapes, the more that walk across the stage is going to feel more human. And I think that really is the beauty of why sometimes dancers make such good actors. Yeah, sometimes the line doesn't come out exactly right, but if you've ever seen like if you've ever seen a ballet, actually, then you know what it is to feel a story be told without any words. So I encourage you, while you're in this quarantine, to be listening to music and doing this kind of work on your own. I think right now is a great opportunity to continue to train, and that means training our artistic self as well. So continue to train your artistic self, really listen to 1,000 different songs, and like, no joke, this is what I do. I literally will put on a random playlist of music and just like song after song, I'll listen to the first couple beats of it and I'll try to figure out, what does it invoke? What do I get from it? And then I just start moving. And you'll find things like, if you do have a song that you're struggling with, you're a singer, I recommend moving while you sing the song. You might find some really interesting dynamics that are coming out of your self movement wise to sort of guide into your, when you're actually just standing there singing still, there's no such thing as stillness. So you can sort of take that study into those vocal sessions. And if you're a dancer taking this class, I think sometimes on the opposite spectrum of that, we get really caught up in the technique or in the form or in what our bodies look like. And we forgot what it was like to want to just tell stories. So I really just wanted to offer this class today as an opportunity for you to breathe, to discover yourself a little bit and hopefully just feel a little out of your head, like the day is a little bit easier. And then I know, Gigi, that we have 30 more minutes. I could stand on my soapbox forever and talk, but instead of that, if anyone has any questions.
I was going to say, does anybody have anything? You know, we're all in this weird time, and I was just listening to Natalie, who of course is just so inspirational. I'm going to start crying. I always start to cry when I talk about Natalie. But in this weird time that we're all living in, we're all kind of an even playing field. We're just so unsure, we're anxious, we're exhausted, so much emotion, and just really, even if you're not a dancer or performer, just the moving, the breathing, the feeling alive, and that there's something better within us that we can tap into, especially when we're in such the state we're in. It does help. And there's all kinds of therapy. People do yoga, you know, just like in this space, as Natalie said, this is a safe space. Some of you had your cameras off and you could be alone and do these movements without any worry about people looking at you. Does anybody want to share how that felt like today? Did it free you? Did it release some anxiety? Are you ready to just go, you know, audition for a show? Does anybody want to share? This is a safe space, so you can just unmute yourself and share.
I think as dancers too, like that's such a good point. Like we do get very obsessed with like, is this cool enough? Like, am I doing enough? But then it's like, why? Why are you doing it? And especially in quarantine when, at least I feel like, what am I really working towards when everything is closed? And there's no real sense of when it's going to open again. I think the best thing to do is like wiggle every day. Like I call it wiggling, but like just wake up and wiggle. That's not about a result, but rather about the experience. I think it really changes the way you'll start to approach just any sort of work that you do, because we are very result oriented as dancers too, right? Like, you know, but you get to a certain age and the result is kind of there. And then you're like, now what? So I'm so glad that you feel like you're going to wiggle every morning. Tag me in your wiggles if you ever feel like it.
That's beautiful. Does anybody else want to share anything? Okay, go ahead, sweetie. Alyssa. Is it Alyssa?
That's so beautiful, because this is just one other thing that I wanted to jump on or touch on is that I think sometimes with theater, we get really locked into like going to theater classes only. And this is just invented out of modern, which is only existent in my body because I went to 4 years of a BFA program where they like shoved it down my throat, but I love it. And a lot of times in theater, I'm like known as the modern dancer, which I always think is so funny because modern dancers are always like, oh, you're the theater girl. So like, I don't, it's very weird. But again, like closing yourself off to all of these opportunities where all this knowledge is like existing that can help us with our technique is like infuse that Batma with like the feeling of wistfulness, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like, that's like such a concept that comes out of not traditional musical theater training. So it's like when you get to go into those different avenues, I'm taking this ballet with this incredible guy named Spencer Thurberg. Highly recommend. He's amazing. But he talks a lot about how ballet is just a structure to explore whatever you want to explore. And I think that's a good way to look at dance. Like, it's just a way to explore whatever you want to explore. So I'm so glad that you felt that. And I definitely will send you some links of some really cool videos on this kind of work, and also this really great class that explores these kind of things. Mm-hmm. And you are literally such an incredible dancer. So I think that this stuff too will just give you a new avenue like into you, and like the technique stuff never comes easy for me. So just like, that's what I spend like so much of my time doing ballet, you know, but you know, it's just that my focus, I have to force myself to focus on technique. you know, and the story comes really easily. And so everyone has something that they have to like jump between. And so I'll send you some stuff. Yeah, it's really, it makes me really happy.
I love the Gaga you put into it, because I've heard about Gaga for years, and I've done like one class of it, and then I forgot it existed, and I was like, that's right, that's such an incredible like genre of dance. Almost, it's like its own
genre. And if you do follow the dance world, it's impacted almost everyone's choreography. So like Fiddler, it's a great example of like modern dance and musical theater coming together, because like Hoshef, who's from Israel, Hofesh, I should know how to say that. That's pathetic. Anyways, I'm so Jewish, I should be able to say that. But I think it's Hoshef. So he comes and he does Fiddler, and all of that movement is based in like Gaga and Israeli social dancing. Like Broadway is changing. You know, you don't see the same sort of ensemble work that you saw. And, you know, I think that Gaga has impacted so much of like even Hadestown. Like it didn't pop up out of nowhere, you know? So anyways, I'm not certified in Gaga. I wish I was. You have to like go to Israel and like meet with Ohad in like a private room. It's like a whole thing. But I have said on here before, all of this is very much inspired by that work and Forsythe work, William Forsythe work that I did in school. And that's like line tracing and tracing shape. And Gaga, if you go to Instagram and you type in gaga.people.dancers, you can take, there's I think 7 offerings a day. And you can take for donation or for free, depending on where you are financially, 45 to 30-minute Gaga classes. And it's just what I did, basically, but on like some extra crack, which is amazing. So it's like, and really like, it's so cool to do this work when, especially right now when you're tired, it's just like the perfect thing, because you don't have to worry about like learning the steps. Just like learn how to move and then learn the steps later when we're back in a room and there's a mirror and, you know, a Marley floor. Things I dream about.
That's true, because it's so, Gaga specifically is like, you dance without a mirror. So what better time to do that when you're in your own house in your living room with no mirror?
Yeah, that's the whole philosophy behind it too, is like eyes open, no mirrors, because again, dance has become very result based and very much like, hi, here are my big titties. You don't like them because I'm, you know, it's like, I'm not a dancer because I have double Ds. Like, that's a bummer. You know what I mean? Or to be made to feel that way. And Gaga, you shut the mirrors off and you just go inside and you realize like, I'm totally fine. Like this is a beautiful vessel and I'm gonna move it. And you don't worry about how crazy you look. So like in Gaga, you know, they make, you know, with the shaking, it's like you're shaking everything and you're like, I should be worried about like all of these things and all of the society tells me to like be scared. But Gaga just reminds me like there's nothing there to look at you. And what is your inner experience? And I think too, yeah, like as dancers and as actors, like we have to be willing to look less than perfect because that's human. So, you know, I don't know. It's, yeah, no mirrors. There's no better time to do it.
Well, this has been amazing.
Yeah, Carmen just wanted to say something.
Carmen, I see you. You want to unmute yourself there? You know, we just see you. You guys make it look so easy. And we buy into it because you are doing this work. You do your homework. You know, you are feeling it. And it translates to the audience, but we just, you know, I feel like I wanted to stop this. Do you realize what they have done to make this moment happen for you? Wake up. This is not easy. Not anybody can do it. Not everybody can. I mean, so I am in awe of all of you and your talent and your willingness to open yourself up and to learn these beautiful things from our Miss Natalie here. Just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Unless there's anything else, I mean, we have time, but we can wrap it up also.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you don't already, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Natalie_Rose0. Pretty easy. I'm going to be, hopefully in the next week, I'm just going to order like a little cool microphone I'm hopefully going to be teaching some yoga classes that are really based in connecting to yourself and not about specifically fitness, but more so about like creative and giving and forgiving as we move deeper into this quarantine. And again, I was not kidding, like an hour off of your phones to do some yoga is a good hour, and it'll be all levels. So very much not about achieving. Again, I'm really trying to break this concept that we have to achieve a certain goal or look a certain way or be a certain way in order to experience movement and art.
Miss
So,
Natalie, do you have a Venmo account or anything? Should any of us want to send you a little love?
I actually would love to say, if you want to donate, please donate to an organization for Black Lives Matter. So Color of Change, Black Lives Matter. I really like Color of Change. They're really good at getting things done. So if you want to donate for this class, if you felt like my time was worth it, go ahead and donate to one of those organizations. Any amount makes a difference, and I would prefer the money to go there anyway. So go ahead and do that. Or, you know,
anymore. Could you just love her any more than you do right now? Oh,
I mean, I'm good.
You are amazing, and we're going to have you back soon, I hope, Natalie.
Yes, I would love to come back whenever. And then again, yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'll probably be doing some private offerings of classes like this, yoga, and also maybe offering some dance private. So Carmen, if you feel like you want to get a private, hit me up and we can talk through some stuff.
That's fantastic. Well, again, find Natalie on her Instagram, Facebook, 3D Theatricals. Also, we will be having today's what, Monday? So with that, Natalie, thank you again so much. Good for you, everybody. Well done, you. Give yourselves a big round of applause.
Thanks, Nat. Love you.
Love you.
All right, everybody. You may unmute yourself and say bye-bye.